Welcome into 11 Personnel, presented by Monticello Bank. I'm Nick Roush. He's Adam Luckett. And today we're going to talk some Kentucky football. That's what we do on this show. We're always talking Kentucky football. And now it's an exciting time to be following the Cats. A week into the Will Stein era. Whoa, voice cracked a little there. We got some sickness going around the house like it. I don't
Time of
think
year.
I think I've had at least one sick kid since the day before Thanksgiving. So, that time of year.
Yeah, dealt with I had strep throat, of course, as I think people know on here. Had a little double dip, so that wasn't fun. I went to the dentist today. That's like being sick, so
Yeah.
I feel for you.
We're going through it. But we're gonna have a good time today. It's my wife's birthday. Shout out to my wife. She's not gonna watch this or listen, but shout out to her. Happy birthday,
Well, you
lady.
tell her the Luckett said happy birthday.
I will pass along the message and all the other kind messages today. But we're here to talk about Will Stein, what he's doing in his first week on the job. There's some staff not changes, but some staff additions, some rumblings that we're going to discuss. We also have a recruiting class finalized and much, much more. We're going to talk about it all, but first I'm going to tell you about our friends at Monticello Bank, proud presenting sponsors of 11 Personnel. Monticello Bank, it's where people matter. They've been in this business for more than 125 years because they care about the kind folks around the Commonwealth of Kentucky. There's a location near you. They got 21 locations, 15 counties across Kentucky. Hurry in. You can talk to one of their mortgage lenders, or you can find out about their HELOC special. Unlock the equity in your home with a home equity line of credit. They're going to get the best rates for you possible, no matter what you need. Monticello Bank, they've got you back. Monticello Bank. Visit them online at nbcbank.com. Monticello Bank. It's where people matter. Member FDIC, equal housing lender, and proud presenting sponsor of 11 Personnel. All right, Luckett, I guess we start from the top and kind of trickle down as far as the big news goes. And I think you got to start with the biggest news, and it was the news that did break while we were on the show last week, and that's that Joe Sloan will be Kentucky's offensive coordinator. And I was the guy who bet on LSU this year that needed a scapegoat, so I did what all the LSU fans did, and I just jumped on the Joe Sloan bandwagon. But right away, he proved why he's vital and why he can be an asset for Kentucky. A day after it, Cats get a top 200 player, 4-star wide receiver from the state of Louisiana in Kenny Darby.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
It's been a week. Why isn't Joe Sloan announced? Like, what are we waiting on?
I don't know if they're trying to do the state requirements for job postings and all that stuff. I feel like you don't ever a lot of other schools aren't waiting that long, so I don't know why they aren't making some of these additions official. I can't explain it, but I can confirm that he's in Lexington and he's working.
Okay. All right. They got 3 guys who are working right now, and one of them has the Rivals name in his Twitter handle while he's working for Kentucky. I don't understand why we're doing it this way. Why is it this way?
Yeah.
Well, with the Papiondo still, Papiondo, who's the general manager, Joe Sloan, who is reported to be the offensive coordinator, and Pete Nocta, who's coming over to be kind of the director of recruiting.
Whatever you want to call that position. Yeah.
Sure. And so none of those have been announced. The Anwar Stewart, we think he's coming back, but again, I think like you kind of got to let the defensive coordinator kind of have a say in that potentially, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows? So we're just in a like I don't understand. I guess maybe it is a state law. Maybe that's why they're doing it this way. But I don't understand why there's just this weird little song and dance thing with these hirings.
Well, and I think some of it initially was Kentucky saying, hey, we'd like to have you guys around, but if you want to look around, you can, because and it ultimately ended up costing me, making me look foolish, because Derek Shea, for all intents and purposes, he was coming back. He had the opportunity to come back. He was working, and then he got another job offer from A&M, and he decided to take it. So made me feel like a real dum-dum, but at least it was good to know, like, okay, like they were kind of planning for it, but then the A&M job came open, and so he went for it, right? Colin Klein goes to Kansas State. I think that might be some of it too, like it with all the various dominoes going around of this guy moves from one job to another, so another job opens, so people feel like moving elsewhere. I think that part makes it a little different. I was told that Stewart was expected to come back, but like you said, nothing is officially official. And you shared a little tidbit on LD Washington yesterday as well on KS Board.
Yeah, I just think like they're moving in a different direction at wide receiver, and I think there's some candidates to watch here. I don't, it's hard to handicap all of this because you don't know like what's actually going on, and
yeah,
like we talk about balance a budget sheet, you do have a balance the staff pool, right? Mm-hmm. So like you have to get your coordinators paid, and then you got to figure out how much money's left over to pay the rest of your coaches, and then how does that kind of work in the negotiation? So yeah, to your point, Sloan did a good job. Like he played a big role in the Darby recruitment. He will be an asset as a recruiter. I think you're seeing Will Stein kind of value recruiting, specifically on offense early in his tenure. We'll see, he hasn't made a defensive hire yet.
Yeah.
So we'll see where that is. But I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I know a lot of people are excited to have the Kentucky the Kentucky head coach coaching in the playoff. I'm worried about it. There's just a lot of shit going on right now. And there is no blueprint because this is the first time anyone has had to do it. Like Dan Lanning did it, but it was totally different. It was a 4-team playoff. How you kind of manage this, and even Brian Hartline talked about this last week, how last week preparing for the conference championship and interviewing for South Florida it was really, really hard. And they at least have a week off, Ohio State, where he can get some stuff done this week. Where Stein had his week off last week. I'm concerned about it. I think it's really hard to kind of do what he's wanting to do and to walk that high wire act. And to work from, however, I mean, you're on another planet basically when you're in Eugene.
Mm-hmm.
I just have concerns. I'm worried about it personally. I just think it's really, really hard to pull off. And like, they do have a buffer zone here where you can get hires done, right? Until the portal opens. But portal activity happens before the portal opens. Like you have to have your ducks in a row. And like, they don't need to be in a hurry, but they need to move fast here. And with each day that comes where roles aren't being filled, I get a little bit more concerned each day, I guess is how I would package that.
Well, especially because we know Stein's back in Eugene right now, and I know that he's been having daily meetings with the people who are working in Lexington in the morning. So, it works out where he gets up at 6:30 West Coast time before Oregon Duck work starts, and he does his Kentucky football work, and then he goes to Oregon Duck practice and then kind of goes from there. But to your point, next week is a game week, and we can maybe talk about it some more next week, but James Madison has a very good defense. They are number 1 in success rate. They are number 4 in EPA, top 5 in scoring defense, top 10 in pass. Like there's some. I know they're 21.5 point favorites, but there's some challenges there. So like a lot of attention is going to be put on that next week, which I feel like makes this week even more important. And we've heard names which we can get into on the offensive side of the ball, but to your point, like there's no. Folks just want to hear about defense coordinator potential, anything, and there's nothing out there. I mean, there's been some names that get into the mix. I know Justin Rowland's passed along a few, and we can touch on them, but like it doesn't feel like there's any sort of real anything tangible out there. There's guys that make sense, and there's probably some interest there, but there's nothing there's no meat on that bone to really bite down on. And that you'd like to see that. You wish you would have seen it by this point in the week. And I feel like you got to see something by at least Friday, because it's one thing if the coach was in a conference championship last weekend. Well, now you just kind of got to do it, right? I don't care if they're in the playoff next week or whatever, because like you said, you need to have something solid and firm before the transfer portal chaos begins.
Yeah, my read of that is he's taking a swing on a candidate we have not heard yet that hasn't given him an answer. So, who is it?
Right.
And then what's the pivot after that? Brian G. Marie is a name I brought up like once Stein was hired, just from his connections with him at Louisville and the SEC experience he had from coaching linebackers at Tennessee. That always felt like that's a makes sense defensive coordinator, plug and play.
Yeah.
You could get him right now. He's at Michigan.
Yeah.
But that hasn't happened yet. Or someone like G. Murray or G. Mary. So if that's not what is this? What's taking so long?
Mm-hmm.
It has to be either it has to be someone coaching right now, or it has to be someone where they've offered and someone's kind of mulling over the offer. So that's my read of the situation.
So Spags, Brian Flores.
I mean, like Jim Knowles is obviously the big one. Like that's the big college one.
Right.
I mean, I'm not saying. I don't know. Like who could it be? I don't know. Could it be a sitting defensive coordinator at a school somewhere? Sure. I don't know, but I feel like that's just kind of the situation. But you're right. Eventually, you've got to get the wheels in motion, and you got to start going. So when is that like? When is that like? All right, we got to go now to get guys, in place in here. Really back, around Christmas time, because then that's when the push starts.
Yeah, and I also wonder what is the sort of mental hard deadline. Like we got to have this done by then.
Sure.
Yeah, we would just be guessing if we were trying to do that. But
yeah, I'm sick of trying to get in people's heads. I'm not doing it anymore. You all want me to get in people's heads. I cannot do it. I can do a lot and I can figure out a lot. I've got some good troubleshooting practices, but I can't get into people's heads. If you want to get into people's heads, there's a big feature coming out on KSR at some point today. You can read that and you can try to get in people's heads. That's for you. But I'm done with it.
Oh man. We even have people just chaining JMI in the chat.
I see that.
It amuses me, Luckett, because I felt like I missed something. Where, I watched the basketball game. I'm not as locked in as I am for football. And then I woke up and everybody's talking about JMI. And I have no idea why. Like I really still can't figure it out. Everything that they're talking about is stuff that we've been talking about for a while. So I'm guessing it's just basketball fans who were maybe paying the same amount of attention to football that weren't a part of those conversations. I don't know. But it's been a funny day online for JMI rhetoric. But
yeah, I mean, this is not a basketball podcast. I think Mitch's comments last week, Wednesday, or 8 days old, 7 days old now.
Yeah.
I didn't love it. Obviously, that's created, I think, a little bit of a mini storm, and I think that is about to get blown up. To me, Nick, we talked about it. Basketball really hasn't come into the limelight yet because they had, it's been reported, they had all this money last year.
Mm-hmm.
Even before the Norlander number, we knew that Kentucky funding was not a problem when it came to roster building. Well, now that could be a thing, and how JMI is operating. And then you see like all these other schools have collectives that aren't, tied to
right, that are doing whatever
they're not in-house.
Yeah.
So that's concerning when we've talked about this. And so we'll
don't
see how that plays out. That's way far away, I think, from the football side. But I will say this, Mitch's comment, like the enough nonsense. We have enough. Well, we're going to find out if you have enough here when this portal opens.
Yeah.
Because that's my 2 cents in this whole thing. It's like, okay, you didn't spend very much in high school recruiting. That's clear as day right now. So you should have some change laying around to go get players. So we're going to find out how much money they have from the football side when they go out and enter this portal.
It opens January 2nd. But as you've seen, if you follow Pete Nakos or any of the other college football news breakers out there. There's a lot of guys who are throwing their name in, their hats in the ring early on. This is just a quick thing. I'm not trying to be a company man here. Not a fan of some of the early Twitter behavior from the CBS Sports competition. I don't. Some of it is just how they phrase things and how they word things. It just irritates the hell out of me. And that gets us to Jabbar Jalouk. Is it Jalouk? Jalouke? I go Jalouk.
I haven't looked up how to pronounce it yet.
Okay.
Any Cajuns in there that can help us out with this?
I would love to know. Jalouke sounds more Cajun. I guess if French, the J would be silent. So Habar Haluke. There's no way that's it. But
we're on the internet, so I'm going to try to figure something out.
So Matt Zenitz, he reported that Jabbar Jalouk was a target for.
You're right, judging on a quick.
Okay, Jabbar Jalouk. Okay. But he said that he was a target for the Kentucky running backs coach search. Well, I sat down for maybe 30 seconds when I saw that tweet, and I read it quickly, and I thought it said targeting. Targeting is a done deal, right? Like that is the nomenclature that people use in this business for the deal is done. And he said a target, and I was just like, what the hell is this, right? Like there are ways to say that he's a candidate for the job without trying to confuse people. I don't like what they're doing over there at CBS. It annoys the hell out of me. But as for Jalouk, this would be a big hire. This would be significant because he was Billy Napier's number 2. He was the associate head coach at Florida. He would have been the interim if he had not gotten into a scuffle. Did he slap the guy from LSU in the pregame scuffle?
Yeah, it was a little 5 fingers to the face, just real quick. Nothing crazy.
Yeah, but so he got suspended for a little bit, so they don't promote him to the interim coach. He has to sit out a couple games. But Jalouk there's 2 things he really has going for him. One, actually 3. But I think one that's big for me is he's experienced. And pretty much every other name that has been bandied about so far is 30-something. There's a lot of young guys that we've been mentioning out there, and I've been pretty adamant early on that you need some balance. You need some old heads who have been through it. That when things get tough, you can lean on for some guidance. And he's 53, spent a decade coaching at Edna Carr, which is a big-time program in the state of Louisiana. He's from New Orleans. There's those recruiting ties like it. Goes more Louisiana Cajun flavor. And then on top of it all, those recruiting ties, they've paid dividends wherever he's been. He got Grant Delpit at LSU, and then the guys at Florida, all awesome. Before you ask in the chat, no, Jaden Ball is not going to follow him wherever he goes. Florida's going to pay him a lot of money to be their featured player. But he did help with DJ Lagway. DJ Lagway might say, screw it, I'm going somewhere else. And it's a very long list. Like Etienne was a big-time recruiting win. He was a top 20 back. It's not only a high quality, he's got a high volume of players, and the running backs seem to really like him there, and they've been good there. So that would be a big time win. But of course, it couldn't be that easy, right? Like nothing's that cut and dry on this.
No, Texas fires Chad Scott. They have a running backs opening. He's mentioned there, but some other candidates too, like LSU running backs coach, interim head coach Frank Wilson is up for the job. He's got a strong recruiting background, so I don't think it's a slam dunk either way. I think my read of the situation is Kentucky has a real shot to get Jalouk. They might this might have got them in and lost some leverage at the table, so maybe he can get some more money. But I think they have a good chance to get him. We'll see what Texas does. But I think they're sitting good here. Now things can change, but last I've heard or done research on, I think they're in a good spot. Now, with all that said, if they get him, he's a big time recruiter. I have doubts about if you're able to if you're able to really pull off going in and getting like the second tier Louisiana guys and getting them to Kentucky, like it's just a long way away from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I just have concerns about that moving forward. But this is a different era; it's not how it used to be.
Right. Right.
But he recruited other areas at Florida, like
Yeah.
Carson Baker, who Kentucky recruited. That was his lead recruiter in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Katie Daniels, who was a young running back on their team, he got him from Mississippi, from West Point, like Mississippi State's backyard. He went down and got a running back out of South Florida. So he's recruited in different areas. So for him, I think having him would be a nice plus for Kentucky because he checks that SEC experience box. He has a working relationship with Joe Sloan from 3 years at Louisiana Tech.
Yep.
And he's a good recruiter. And so there'd be a lot to like there.
Which, by the way, we didn't get the chance to really give the Sloan a ton of flowers for Kenny Darby, but that guy put up some big time numbers in Louisiana. That is a significant recruiting win. Now, I still think you're going to see them portal shop for a vet. Maybe I don't know if it would be a slot or an outside. We'll see how much they believe that not only DJ Miller can be a reliable starter on the outside, and how much they expect to play Darby. But Darby's that was exciting. That was exciting when they got that one done on Friday because he's a big time playmaker. I mean, he was 24 touchdowns, I believe, and more than 1,000 receiving yards. As
a junior, he led the state of Louisiana in receiving, over 1,700 yards.
Some big time production.
Yeah, I hate to be the bearer of bad news to people, but Kentucky's going to have some attrition at wide receiver. They've got 13 full scholarship players. I mean, like 11 of those guys are in their first or second year in college football.
So yeah, they'll probably lose 7 of them.
So and you can't lose the 5 freshmen you just signed. So there's just going to be some attrition. There's going to be some attrition there. So how they manage that, and whoever the new receivers coach is going to have a say in that, I believe. And so that's going to be interesting to see kind of just how they deal with that. So I don't want to Darby's going to have a role in this offense. And I also expect them to take some big swings in the portal at this position.
Yeah.
So you look at, guys that played last year and Hardley Gilmore, Cam Miller, DJ Miller, I wouldn't bet on all 3 of those guys being back. Let's just put it that way. I think there's going to be some attrition there.
You would hope that 2 of them would at least be able to survive because those were at least guys who were consistent, were steady. And then maybe the other guys who just didn't play at all, we can say sayonara to because there were a lot of them. That there were quite a few. Did you want to throw out any of those names that you threw out on the board? We can at least say one for the wide receiver coach because Joe Price is following everybody. He follows everybody. He follows 60,000 people or something, but he's recently followed a lot of people with Kentucky connections.
That is one I think to monitor. I would classify him as a favorite as of now. And he worked with Stein at UTSA. He was a high school coach in Texas, then worked in some recruiting staffs, and then got promoted to on-field. And then now he's like the passing game coordinator and assistant head coach or something at UTSA. So he's one to watch. I would classify him as a favorite to be Kentucky's new wide receivers coach as of right now.
And as for the offensive line, I don't think anything will be imminent anytime in the near future. But a name we're watching too is one that's also currently in Oregon, and that's Cutter Leftwich. His brother, big time. I mean, he's like a 31-year-old offensive coordinator at Texas Tech that's been up for the Broyles Award. So comes from a coaching family, went to McNeese, and Oregon. Their offensive lines have been a Joe Moore Award finalist for 3 straight years. It's pretty good, Mr. Luckett. 3 straight years, you have one of the 3 best offensive lines in college football. And I know that is in particular a position where the position coach does get a lot of shine. And Alike Terry is obviously talented, and he's only 31 years old. But it still signs group, And I think the other part too is This year they did it with only one returning starter. They got Isaiah World out of the portal. They developed some guys, and in the AP selections, all of them were all Big Ten in some category, one shape or the other. They had an awesome interior offensive line. So there's a Will Stein has been a part of an offensive line culture. That's something that was very important to the Kentucky football program for a long time. I think that should be noted as we move forward in the Stein era, that it's not going to be completely abandoned. At least that's not my expectation. That's not what he's been operating under for the last 3 years.
Yeah, I actually, Cutter Leftwich could play his brother Mac Leftwich in the Orange Bowl.
Or in the
Orange Bowl in the quarters.
Yeah.
That would be the matchup if Oregon takes care of James Madison. To me, Nick, yeah, you're right. Like, this is a huge hire for Stein, and fixing this starts with recruiting.
Yeah.
We talked about it. Wolford's gone. He didn't fix the high school recruiting. He kept them alive pretty much and kept them moving forward with the portal, but they've got to fix this with high school recruiting. And so that's going to be the big goal here moving forward. They're going to have to build in the portal early on, but once they get through the portal, the biggest thing I'm going to look at from February until the season starts, or until those official visits are done, just where's their offensive line recruiting? They need a really good offensive line class now. Like, they need one bad. And so they've got to get that fixed. And I think that's probably one of the bigger goals this offseason, is to really they need like 3 Darren Stry type prospects in this next class. Not one. Not one over the next 2 years. They need like 3 in this class. And so can they go and do that? It's a big, like, if it is Cutter Leftwich, he's stepping into a tough situation. Yep. That young, inheriting this room, which is better than it was, but still the future, like, there's just going to be a lot to work to get done, not only for next year on the field, but also long term. Like, if you don't get stuff going right now, you've got more problems. So there's just going to be a lot on his plate if he is the offensive line coach from the jump.
Yeah. There's a lot on all their plates.
Some things change, some things stay the same. Or the more things change, the more they stay the same. In the offensive line, we are just stuck here at Kentucky in this just cycle that they just haven't been able to get out of. And this year was a nice change or a step forward, but still you're looking at it and you're like, well, where are the guys to step in? Now all these guys are leaving, and you're just kind of repeating the same thing. And now you got a new O-line coach. How many O-line? It's 3 or 4 O-line changes in the last 6 years. So yeah, good luck, whoever the next Kentucky offensive line coach is. You've got a long to-do list whenever you get here.
You mentioned Wolford. Wolford, he landed with Lane Kiffin at LSU. That's his 4th SEC school since 2020. He obviously did the dipsy-do at Bama, but was previously at South Carolina. He's moved on. A couple of coaches staying in the SEC. Derek Shades at Texas A&M. Colin Klein left, and he's taking his tight ends coach with him to Kansas State. And then the other one we just found out this morning, we were curious what would happen with Bush Hamden. Would he have an analyst role? Surely he wouldn't go back to wide receivers coach. He's going to be a non-play calling offensive coordinator at Mississippi State. So Jeff Lebby has been calling the plays there since he arrived. Bush Hamden is associate head coach of offense, which is
basically he's an analyst, but analysts aren't what they used to be. Like, you can coach on the field.
Yeah.
To me, he's going to kind of be Jeff Lebby's number 2 or involved in the process of game planning. He'll be up, I would assume, in the box.
Yeah, where he's spent most of his career. I'm surprised they didn't just call him passing game coordinator.
Well, I think they kind of saved that kind of title for someone who's on the field, where he's not necessarily a specific position coach, but he's going to be, I guess, more Lebby's eyes and ears while he does other head coach things.
Interesting.
And I think for Bush, it makes sense. Like, go learn this offense.
Yeah.
Like, you've been doing something different. Go work in a different offense and see what you can learn. The bad part is he's like, I think Lebby's going to be in kind of a hot seat situation next year at Mississippi State. So
Hammond's
you leave
familiar
one hot
with
seat
that.
situation, going right to another one. So yeah, that was interesting because you typically just see them go and like join someone else's staff, but for him to get to add that work experience, I think that's a good spot for him. Good landing spot after things
Yeah.
didn't go great his 2 years in Lexington.
Is Chapin, is he back again? Or are they
He's
going
gone.
to, so they're just going to do is it Kamario Taylor?
I would imagine, they just play the
He was
big dual
fun
threat.
in the Egg Bowl. We were texting. I would have liked to have known that he was starting before the game, before I bet on Mississippi State. But there could be something there. It's fun. One of the first things I thought of like it is they already did the thing where they brought back Zach Arnett. What if they what if they brought back Kevin Barbet? He was an analyst with Hamden.
Well,
it'd be funny if they brought back the whole crew.
Well, Arnett's defensive coordinator, Matt Brock, they just brought him back. So you're not that far off.
Yeah.
On that, Nick, we've heard Heartline's coming back. We'll see if that develops. But this was very much a cleaning of house for Kentucky. Like, there's going to be some guys that hang around that are in smaller roles. But unless your name's Tom Kalinowski, I wouldn't say you were safe over in that football building. There's no touching him. He's Teflon. But other than that, like there's just going to be a big change, as you would expect.
There might be a few holdovers, but for the most part, a lot of change is happening. And if your plans change at the last minute, you want to go do something fun, then go visit Game Time. Game Time, it's the best way to get last-minute tickets for whatever you want on the plate. I got some tickets to go watch a concert tonight, a Creole Christmas like it. It's going to be outstanding. I can't wait. Christmas music with the Preservation Hall Jazz Band. It's basically, I'm just all these Louisiana hires. I got to go get some Louisiana music, but I'm going to a concert tonight. I got some tickets through Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. It's very easy. You get your tickets right to your phone. All the pricing is included right there. Don't have to worry about fees, whatever it may be. When you use the promo code ON3, you're going to get $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. It's promo code ON3 for $20 off your first purchase. And it's not just last-minute tickets. You can plan well ahead. And the big World Cup draw last week. World Cup games are coming in. Game Time has all your tickets to go watch the biggest sporting event in the world when it comes to North America next summer. So get on Game Time. Get your tickets now for the biggest events and some of the smallest, whether it's comedy shows, concerts, whatever it may be. Game Time's got you covered. A great Christmas gift. Game Time, swipe, tap, ticket, and go with Game Time. Monday night, we finally got some contract terms for not only Will Stein, but for Mark Stoops. So we found out that Stein is going to be making $5.5 million a year. Got a 5-year deal. Felt pretty standard for the most part. I like that somebody noted that the $500,000 bonus for the playoff should be more like $50 million. Really, it's got a lot bigger deal, but naturally that would come with some sort of contract extension if he ever got to that point. But that deal felt pretty standard. The buyout structure is similar, where it's similar to Pope's, where there's no immediate, you got to pay it all. You pay it out over the life of the contract, and it's 70% of the rest of the contract. So it's not technically a fully guaranteed deal. The part that I find interesting, though, is we also got the details of Mark Stoops' buyout. And for the first 4 years of Stein's deal, Mark Stoops is going to be making more than Will Stein. It's interesting.
Yeah, I thought the lump sum was smaller than I thought it would be. I thought they would want to pay a bigger amount right now.
But, I mean, it's quarterly, so it's going to be 3.75 times 4.
Well, they paid it is quarterly, but next week they're going to pay him $2.5 million or whatever it was. They go to Wildcat, and he's going to write Mark Stoops a check for $2.5. It's in the thing. The lump sum was. I thought they would do a bigger lump sum up front to make the quarterly payment smaller, but They're choosing to.
Yeah.
That's just how I thought.
Yeah. First year though, you're paying him like what, 16 million, and then it's 6 million a year to get there or something like that.
I don't know if it's that. I don't even think it's that much.
I thought it was like 4 million a quarter, but I'm not a math guy here. You're the math guy. Either way, I think most people had a very similar reaction where we knew that it was a lot of money because that's all we've been talking about was how prohibitive that buyout was.
Mm-hmm.
When you see it on paper, this is the deal that Stoops is giving Kentucky. You guys get to pay him $6.5 million a year. It's like, that's a pretty sweet deal.
Yeah, plus, basically, I would look at it like this. Like, it's basically like they paid him $13 million this year. He made 9. They're throwing another 4 at him. That's what the lump sum is, of nearly $4 million.
Yeah. And then
$3,937,500 due within 15 days of separation. They separated on the 30th. So next week,
he's going to get $4 million.
He's getting essentially $4 million. And then after that, the quarterly payments start. And so he won't get another payment from Kentucky until July 1st, 2026.
But he's getting quarterly payments this year, though. Like once, yeah.
That starts July 1st, 2026.
Oh, I'm getting, yeah, my dates. Forgot that like 2026 is here in 20 days.
Right. So instead, like he was scheduled to make $9 million next year, but he'll get paid 6.75 instead of 9. And that 6.75 is divided up 4 times, right? So he's getting paid 1 point, whatever. Right. And then that happens over the life of the contract.
Mr. Wildcat more times to host bake sales and have car washes to have enough funds to be able to cover Mark Stoops' buyout.
Right. Absolutely. And hopefully he has some help with fundraising.
Speaking of fundraising, we know that Mark Stoops hates it. Did you ever have to sell the world's finest chocolate candy bars?
I did. Usually ended up with us just buying them all and just eating them out the house.
There was one year we had them and our dog got into the boxes. And, nobody liked the boxes as much as the candy bars. Did you have a favorite candy bar?
I like the one with the almonds in them.
Oh, interesting.
Because
I thought those were the toughest to sell. They would give you the crunchy and then the caramel. I like the caramel.
Yeah. I can't read. The one with the almonds in them were my favorite.
I recently saw at my buddy's barbershop that one of the kids, he let his kid, not his, but he let some kid put their world's finest chocolate in there to sell. We've got some, what do they call it? Not stagflation, some downflation. I don't know. But the chocolate bars, they used to be thick. And they've seemingly thinned them out and like cut them in half. It's a real shame because those things were good. Real good. They were $1. I think they're like $1.50 now. I don't think those fundraisers are as important. This generation's not as eager to send kids out to go door to door selling things. It's just a little different than the 90s.
Yeah.
We don't have a lot of latchkey kids anymore.
Also, people are like, why are you here?
Knocking on my door.
Yeah.
I had a kid knock on my door, ask if if I needed help, he was shoveling snow. I was like, good on you, but I have like a tiny little walkway. I don't need your help, kid. But you know what? Good old fashioned business, door to door. That's the hard way. I don't know how we got off on this tangent, but hey, we made it here, baby. We made it.
Talking about Mark Stoops' hatred for fundraising, and then you got into world famous candy.
And now we're back to JMI. Which, by the way, did we ever free Peak from Twitter jail?
I believe so.
We did.
Oh, Peak's back.
We're back, baby.
Well, Peak was tweeting pictures of the crowd, so I thought Jerry Tipton might have taken over his account. No response there, Peak.
No, that was great. That was an elite tweet. I loved it.
Yeah, you know what? It didn't get enough credit for.
No, it didn't.
At least I thought. I thought it didn't get enough.
That was a good one.
When we lose Peak at Kroger Field, and now understand why. It's because he's going to make his quiet, silent crypto calls. He's doing trading. He's got to go make some crypto.
Got to earn that card. Got to earn that car, Adam.
He's on the blockchain. Got to make things happen on the blockchain.
You don't get that lightning blue Range Rover from just showing up to your 9 to 5 every day. You've got to do some hustling.
Oh man. All right, a couple of other things that I wanted to mention. Okay. You said it earlier, but maybe we can dive into it a little bit more. We joke with Van about applying to be a coach here on the football podcast, but at this rate, the way that they are attacking Louisiana and Texas, Van really could have enough credentials on his website or on his resume to be able to get on the staff because it is a very heavy Louisiana flavor. We saw Mark Stoops have success because Ohio State was a it's not vacant father. What is it? The I don't know. But they weren't paying attention, right? They were kind of asleep at the wheel in the state with Urban Meyer. Urban Meyer was recruiting nationally.
Sure.
Is there a chance that Lane Kiffin does the Portal King thing and there are enough pickings for Kentucky to maybe not do it to the volume, but 8 to 10 quality players from Louisiana a year?
I think that's stretching it. I think like if you got four per year.
So that's where I get – that's where I wonder if you have all of your connections there. It's too
early to tell. We don't know who is even on the defensive staff.
That's true. That's true. My bigger point that I made on KS Board and that I want to make just generally speaking is no matter who Will Stein gets, there was a lot of folks asleep at the wheel on that coaching staff when it came to recruiting, particularly your cornerbacks coaches and your wide receivers coaches. Hell, even the running backs coach, Jay Boulware, he wasn't recruiting at all.
Not all of them, but at certain times.
Yes,
in the tenure, in the Stoops era.
Because like Klink and Ainsley, we saw what happened when Klink built the pipeline to Detroit. You get DeAndre Square, you get Deion Walker, Max Hairston turns into a pro. I mean, there was a lot of talented players. They didn't get a ton of guys, but they would get 3 or 4, Justin Rogers. You would get 3 or 4 class, but they all pretty much became starters. Look at LD Washington in 1 year did as much as the last 10 receivers coaches did. I guess Scott Woodward got credit for Barry and Brown, but like those position coaches.
Well, him and Shorts, I would throw Shorts in there too, even though he was only here a short time. Like he got Cam Miller. Miller.
Yeah. I forget about Shorts because it happened so quick. I mean, the wide receivers coaches for Stoops over the years. The overall point being is that what we saw with Vince was not the norm. These guys got to carry more weight from a not only quality, but also a quantity perspective. You can't just rely on 1 or 2 guys to do all the recruiting. Period.
Yeah, it needs to be more balanced to your point. I think like for the point you point about like finding like your home territory or your backbone to pull players from. I think it's just going to be a little different just because of how the sport is.
Yeah.
There's so much player movement, this and that. So it's going to look different, but there's not going to be like going into Ohio and signing 10 players. Another thing, Nick, they're going to prioritize in-state recruiting.
Yep.
Staff punted on it the last couple of years. Now, I think you can argue and have like a decent debate with pros and cons about why they did that and why it was a good move and why it was a bad move. But the new staff with Stein, I don't think is going to think like that. Like I said, there's going to be wars at Trinity High School for this 2027 class they got. Yeah. And there's going to be wars at Cal for some of those players they got. Not only just Kentucky, there's going to be others in Louisville. There's going to be other schools involved there. So it's just going to be different. Where this past class, like essentially they said, we'll stop recruiting Kentucky and we'll just start recruiting junior colleges. Like that's not going to be the plan moving forward. So it's just going to look different. Like with everything's going to be different and figuring out like what their strengths strengths are as a recruiting department, what they value, who's going to be kind of the alphas on the staff from a recruiting standpoint. That stuff we're going to find out really over these next 6 months. It's not what we know. We don't know really any of it right now. And they don't have guys, right? They don't have people on staff. So like figuring all that out is going to be very interesting. And then how their portal strategy mixes into that. Because what they do in the portal early on, I don't think it's necessarily going to match what maybe the long-term vision is. Because early on, they just got to attack the needs on the roster early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then we'll still build out kind of a team building strategy after that. And so it's going to be, again, like I would say, if you're ever going to start following recruiting or wanting to get into that, following it, now is the time, I think, to start. Because a lot of it's going to be new and we're going to kind of learn. And then I think there's going to be, even for Stein, he's a first-time head coach, there's probably going to be growing pains.
Mm-hmm.
And times you're going to have to call audibles. And so how they manage all that's going to be very fascinating. And again, they're jumping in a year where this in-state class has got a lot of talent.
It'll be fun. It'll be fun, especially if they win some of those. I'm sure there's going to be some tweets being passed around between fan bases locally. I think it's fair to say that the folks at Louisville, they're going to have their swords out. You don't think these two former Trinity quarterbacks are trying to prove who's the best one of them? Like it's gonna. We're gonna get after it, and there's some high quality players to go after. But I'm not going to force lock it. We're not going to make a bunch of pronunciations on what's happening next year for this Kentucky football team. I did do a radio hit today where they were like asking me for expectations for Will Stein in year one, and I'm like, man, I don't know who any of the players are going to be on the team. It's a little tough to do right now. We've got plenty of time for that moving forward. But I do want to get into actually a little bit of college football playoff talk to wrap us up for the week. But first, I got to remind you all that I hope you listened out there and you bet some unders on your BetMGM last weekend because, like it. Great weekend for the unders. Great weekend for the unders.
Yeah.
I had a great time betting them. Kirby Smart was sitting on it. I almost got a little worried that it was the Texas game again. They're like, oh, they might score a little too many points here. But all of the big conference championship games went under. We got a lot of winners home on BetMGM where, hey, not only can you bet totals, they got parlays. They got every kind of wager that you could want. A great wagering menu with BetMGM. Great odds boost with BetMGM. And a great sign-up deal. So if you haven't downloaded the BetMGM app yet, use bonus code ON3 and you're going to get up to $1,500 back on your first bet. It's a $1,500 first bet offer. So what happens, your first bet's a no sweat bet. You don't hit it, you're going to get whatever that money was back in bonus bets with BetMGM. So go ahead, download the BetMGM app today. Sign up using bonus code ON3. Make this college football season one for the history books. Make it legendary with BetMGM. Do it for college basketball, too. We had some awesome games in the Jimmy V Classic last night. BetMGM, they got you covered on whatever you want to wager on. Do it today. See BetMGM.com for terms. 21 plus only. U.S. promotional offers are not available in New York, Nevada, Ontario, or Puerto Rico. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In the U.S., call 1-877-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY. In New York, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP in Arizona, 1-800-327-5050 in Massachusetts, 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa, 1-800-981-0023 in Puerto Rico. The first bet offer is for new customers only, subject to eligibility requirements. Rewards are non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire in 7 days in partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. Man, look, it was great gambling day. Like it wasn't the best year when we were picking our games at times, but Saturday, just absolutely glorious wagering day with all those unders coming in. Texas Tech naturally made things interesting for us because BYU, man, they were Texas Tech's best offense. Like they kept they kept turning it over to him in plus territory. You mentioned Tech potentially playing Oregon. That defense is awesome, but they won't win a title because they settle for field goals too often. I mean, I don't know if it's anything more than that.
Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of shocked people who watch Texas Tech for the first time on New Year's Day, thinking, "Oh, we're going to get a shootout here. It's Texas Tech. Like it's going to be 60-50, and they play slobber knockers." Like,
yeah,
I think one team has scored over 14 points against them, something like that. One team over 17. I mean, people do not score on them.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, they win with defense. So, like, that could be an absolute. I mean, that would be a Big Ten game when Oregon plays them. That's going to be a game that's a race to 20 points, most likely. So, yeah, I'm excited about the playoff. I think my big takeaway from the weekend, Nick, is just like the ACC is in trouble. Like, they're ruining this whole thing. And a lot of the overreaction. A lot of why people were so mad that, like, the root cause of it, like, you can blame certain factions and certain individuals, but the root problem of it is the ACC is just not good. Like, the league is just bad. And like, well, like Miami, every once in a while get mad at the tiebreakers. Like, hey, Miami, don't lose. Like, why are you losing to SMU and Louisville? Like, you're superior to both those teams. Like, you can lose one, you can't lose both. Don't hit the quarterback on 4th and 13 or whatever the SMU game was. They had that dumb penalty. And Carson Beck, stop throwing interceptions. Like, to me, like, they are the big loser in all this. I know everyone wants to, Notre Dame is being a baby.
Whiny babies.
In a lot of ways. And like the committee, I'm not shocked that Hunter Yurachek, something he was the head of, was just an absolute mess. But overall, like, the ACC was really, it's just really a bad look for them this whole year. And really a whole couple years has just been a bad look. And it was another one.
I think for me, everybody's very focused on the here and now.
You can't let a 7-5 team win your conference. Like, and want to be taken serious.
And how did they let that happen? Because when expansion happened, they overreacted and said, we got to go get Cal and Stanford. Why? You didn't need to do that. Be it 15 teams. You play more people, and you've got Notre Dame part-time anyway, playing 5 of you. That's fine. Be much easier to determine a champion, because the biggest mess, I think, to get where we are is realignment has just created unbalanced scheduling. So determining who's the best in a conference, it makes it tough. A 10-2 team in the SEC should be in the playoff. Well, you know what? But Vandy didn't have a signature win. You know who wasn't whining about it afterwards? Karkley and Vanderbilt. I poked fun at all the people who would go on shows to convince themselves that they should be in the playoff the week before it happened. The AD for Notre Dame, Pete Bavacca or whatever his name is, his media blitz is even more embarrassing. I mean, he's on every show just whining. And then he calls his press conference just to say, the ACC tweeted about us bad. Wah. And to cap it all off, like, the worst of it all is that we had a chaos scenario. We had a chaos scenario unfold, and now they're going to go back and try to change the rules. Like, we cannot create a system where every single year they are changing rules to it. I get the initial tweak to not do the auto bids to the buys. Like, okay, that's a very easy fix. But to spend all this time and all this effort and all this energy to create a system only to change it after every single year, that's not a real system. It's just not. There are winners and there will be losers every single year. Like, we just eventually we have to accept what it is and move on. But you know what, Luckett? That's not going to happen. They're going to lobby for expansion. We've got Yormark bitching and moaning about the Notre Dame AD. Like, this is a damn soap opera. It's a bunch of grown men that's turned into a soap opera. And it is once again a display of the lack of leadership, not just in the sport, but in our country. Because they all sound like a bunch of whiny-ass politicians who actually don't want to do anything. Like, Take some real leadership, take action, and stop jibber jabbing and flapping your gums. You are as bad as us. They are as bad as hot take artists. Like, be some adults, for crying out loud.
But it does, I mean, they don't. There are 5 different people representing 5 different groups of people. So you got the commissioners. They are looking out for their conferences, and then you've got the Notre Dame AD who's looking out for Notre Dame. So you got to have they got to fall under the same umbrella. Until they do, that this is just going to happen.
Exactly.
I think
it's just a Jenga game like it with the NCAA and college football. We keep just putting Band-Aids on it and a little tape to make sure these blocks don't fall down. But
yeah,
something's going to happen.
I mean, I get it from Notre Dame's standpoint. Like they essentially were lied to, and they were made a pawn in this kind of system with how we select the teams. We don't need to have a show, but ESPN wants to have a show, so we have a show.
Yeah.
And then like I do think like, you know, before this year, everyone like freaked out when Petiti had a 16-team idea, and now that's coming back. I think everyone's going to have a different opinion of that moving forward.
It would have been fun to watch Vandy and Texas play for a spot or whoever. You know what I mean?
When they created this, they created it out of the construct of we were going to have 5 power conferences.
Yeah.
We don't have those anymore. Right? So like there is probably a need. All right, let's go back to the drawing board and figure something out. But it is getting old how we have to keep having these kind of conversation of what's good for the sport, who should be in, who should be out. This is bad. This is terrible. Bowl games stink. We're killing the sport. It's just like it's over and over and over. And so to me, like that is how you like really do long-term damage to college football. It's just like this hemming and hawing.
Yeah.
But
it'll make fans jaded. That's the part where just trying to keep up with it all and all of the whining. Like
that's the concern about the conference championship game is because if you do kind of do like this play-in stuff, it'll just confuse people.
Yeah.
People be like, "You're doing what? What? That don't make no sense." So that is the concern. So they do have to kind of figure some stuff out. But yeah, more changes on the way, which is no surprise to anyone. Notre Dame's being a baby, but I get why they are acting while they are in a certain form or fashion, but they're also in a unique situation because they could be a chaos agent.
Oh, yeah.
But the way we're moving forward, it's going to be hard for them to schedule.
Yeah.
Because everyone's going to 9 games. And they are, you know, they're making all this noise, but they are tied to the hip with the ACC, for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
And so they need the ACC to be good. And that's part
easier said than done.
It's easier said than done. Right. Specifically, Clemson and Florida State, and even Miami. Miami's good right now, but like they can't have both of those teams being 7-5 or worse.
Yeah.
They can't have 2 of those 3 teams being 7-5 or worse in a season. Like it's just not. You can't overcome that for them, and so they need to. That's really the ACC is the big mess, and it feels like I would be surprised if the next move isn't that gets blown up in some form or fashion. I don't know if Notre Dame's going to be behind it or whatnot, but you know, pissing off Notre Dame is one way to get the system changed. I'll say that.
That's true. That's true. It's been a big fat mess. The games don't begin until next week, and we've got Army Navy on Saturday. Are you do you have any preference in that game? I always just love watching it, but do you I usually cheer for Army for Freddie.
Yeah, I just like watching it. Don't really have a preference. But I'll say this, just enjoy these games because it's going to be another off season of just like bureaucratic campaigning and
enjoy the games. Because
they extended the date to determine what they're going to do in this next year, right? Yeah. It was supposed to be December 2nd. They extended it to December 23rd. So they got 2 weeks here to lock in what the 26th playoff is going to look like.
It's a long saga ahead of us, but you know what? We'll be there. We'll help you wade through all the bull crap.
And everyone's mad at committees. Everyone wants computers back. Like, why we just keep going around the same daggum circle over and over again.
Oh, it's silly. It's very silly. Well, we've had fun being silly, talking all Kentucky football with you. We'll have you covered on the latest with whatever Will Stein does next with his coaching search. We're going to talk more Will Stein on the KSR YouTube channel later tonight. Jeff Schwartz, former Oregon Duck and longtime NFL vet. He's going to tell us what we need to expect from Will Stein. So make sure you're subscribed to the KSR YouTube channel. We're here every week podcasting. I think the plan is to stay at Wednesdays for now. Maybe New Year, we might change up the date a little bit. But we'll at least get you through Christmas, sticking to our usual day. So we appreciate you following along here on 11 Personnel. For Adam Luck, and I'm Nick Roush. Go Cats and go Kroger.